Why do you think in the press conference that recently happened, they used two women to tell us about the attack? One woman, a Hindu woman, one a Muslim woman. This is clearly a narrative shaping tool that the government is already doing. So if you want your country to...
India just struck back. Pakistan's on edge. The world's watching, again, but you're being lied to. Not because there's one villain, because everyone's selling a story. This isn't a war over land, it's a war over narrative. And in a world where perception is power, the side that controls the story wins. So today, we burn through the headlines, the hashtags, and the nationalism, and show you exactly what this conflict is really about. Buckle up. What do you think actually triggered this latest India-Pakistan flashpoint? Was it just another border incident, or is there something deeper going on beneath the surface?
It's I think everyone is already aware of the fact that the Kashmir conflict, which has existed ever since the partition of India and Pakistan in 1947, we've been facing this issue ever since the country is formed. And thanks to the British colonial rule, they left us in such a weary state that we are fighting over this piece of land. And it's not just a piece of land, it is people's lives, especially natives there, who are suffering. And not just that, I think everyone involved in this conflict has suffered, be it military personnel, be it real people, be it everyone else. And ultimately, I believe the deeper reason why this has happened is not just the culmination of an ongoing conflict. While that is definitely the case, I think a deeper reason in all of this is the current socio-political situation across the world. Think about it. There is the Israel-Palestine war already going on. Global tensions are high. There is the Russia-Ukraine war going on. Global tensions are high. And the point is, this has completely disturbed both the economy and how we perceive global politics as a whole, right? Different people are trying the approach that we have been trying ever since the end of World War II, which is de-escalating through diplomatic means. And it hasn't worked in the past 2 or 3 years. And now comes the India-Pakistan conflict. In the viewpoint of that, this conflict is just a third level escalation of something which has already been going on ever since the first conflict happened between Ukraine and Russia. And more so, this has been something which has its roots in the very beginning of this peace era, right after World War II ended. But that is just the global perspective, right? There is a deeper, more interesting narrative going on that we as people, and especially people of South Asia like I am, we tend to ignore. That is what is going on.
Exactly. And I think what you're setting up here is that we're no longer living in a world where conflicts stay local. The global ecosystem is so tightly interlinked, economically, digitally, ideologically, that the emotional and narrative echoes of one war bleed into another. Israel-Palestine sets a precedent. Ukraine-Russia destabilizes expectations. And now India-Pakistan gets framed not just as a regional land dispute, but as the next chapter in a failing world order. Want to push into that deeper narrative now, the one we keep ignoring?
Yes. See, and I want everyone in the audience to also be very clear and open their ears when they hear this. This is not about justice anymore. This is not about freedom anymore. This is not about right or wrong anymore. We live in a world which is a post-truth world. It doesn't matter what reality is. It is what matters. What matters is what narrative is being set up. Think about it. Even on social media, which is, by the way, the most used way of communicating between people currently across the globe. It doesn't matter if what I am saying right now is the truth. It doesn't matter what you heard in the last video is the truth. What matters is if it is convincing enough. Hell, we depend on Google searches and chatbots to get information. Even they get information wrong. And how do you even vet that sort of information? They can link to one study. Maybe that study links to another study. You won't go 8 layers deep. And even if you do, in order to get what the real truth is, you might land up in a dead end. And truthfully, 99% of the people are going to stop thinking the moment they see the first answer. And those 99% of the people are what are shaping this narrative. So, in this sort of global scenario, socio-political scenario, what matters is who is able to set the narrative. But there is, and that is the reason why this entire conflict and many conflicts are happening, right? It's not a battle of justice or peace or freedom or even revenge. It is a narrative versus narrative arc. People are fighting for their stories at the end of the day. In this particular conflict, in the India Pakistan conflict, the Indian government in the past, I don't know, 11 years of their ruling have now set up a precedent that we are amazing, we are great, we are a national frontier organization, we are what is going to establish India as the number one country in the world. And when that sort of narrative is being spread, when you show yourself as you show the government as being heroes, then when this sort of conflict happens, your hand is forced to take measures that escalate into a war. Same with Pakistan. Why do you think in the 2019 thing that happened when we did a surgical strike on Pakistan after Pakistan had attacked us? Do you think the Pakistan news outlets or the Pakistan government told its people that, yeah, we lost, India won against us? No, they set the narrative that they won, and that is going on across the globe. I am not going to make any judgment. I'm just going to tell you what is really going on, which is that the Gazan people are spreading the narrative that they are victims. The Israeli people are setting the narrative that they're fighting for justice, and then they are victims. The Russian people are fighting for the narrative that their land that they rightfully claim is not being allowed to them by America and also all those powers. And Ukraine people are talking about freedom and fighting for their lands. Every sort of country which is involved in any conflict, all they are fighting for is their narrative. Nobody really cares about the truth anymore. It's all a fight of narrative. And because I am Indian, I am much more likely to see narrative spread by my government, and I'm going to follow that. That does not mean that the Pakistani government or the Pakistani military are right. Not a chance in hell, right? But there is a truth. Definitely there is a truth. Maybe it is completely pro-Indian. Maybe it is completely neutral. Maybe it is pro-Pakistani. Who knows? But either way, that truth is not going to ever be discussed in this world, because all we care about is narrative and whose story wins out.
Exactly. And this is the shift nobody's ready to admit. Modern war isn't fought in trenches, it's fought in timelines. Every drone strike is followed by a viral video, every retaliation by a wave of hashtags, and the real battlefield isn't a border, it's the attention economy. You just dropped the core thesis right there. In a post-truth world, power belongs to those who control the story, not those who hold the facts. So the real question is, who gets to be the author? Want to go there next?
Definitely. And I'll tell you, I'll actually give the audience something that they are looking for. See, I am not here going to, I know for a fact that you also do not care about truth. Frankly, no one does. I mean, even if, let's say, I want to believe in something, I start off with an emotional reasoning of what I want the conclusion to be, and only then I try to apply logic in order to make sure my already confirmed conclusion that I want is somehow proven. And that is the reality of the human mind. So therefore, but there are certain aberrations, certain people who really do want to know the truth. If you're one of them, if you're someone who wants to know what is really going on in this India-Pakistan conflict, in this global crisis, and who is the good guy and the bad guy, I have two pieces of information for you. Firstly, there is none. It is a gray area. People are fighting for power. People are fighting for this domination. There is nobody in power actually gives a fuck about truth or justice. All they care about is the power dynamics. Secondly, I commend you that you are looking for truth, but it is definitely not going to be what you are thinking it to be. So if you are going to look for truth, be careful. Go ahead, search everything, figure out objective reality. Wherever you see opinions, discard them, and please, for the love of God, think critically. And now, secondly, I'm going to talk to people who are honest and who do not really care about truth anymore. See, I am Indian. I want my country to win this conflict. I want my country to get whatever they want to get. I want my people, and especially the people who have died in terrorist attacks, to get some form of justice. If that is you, and if you do not really care about the truth, you just want your country to win, fight the battle of the narrative. It doesn't matter if you're making memes in your own language and laughing about this or doing whatever. You need to win the global war of narrative. Pakistan is going to go, and Pakistani people and their think tanks are going to make memes and posts that will paint India in a negative light. And the only way the Indian people or India as a whole is going to come out as truthful, or the right party, is by if they are able to win the narrative war. Why do you think in the press conference that recently happened, they used two women to tell us about the attack? One woman, a Hindu woman, one a Muslim woman. This is clearly a narrative shaping tool that the government is already doing. So if you want your country to win, regardless of whether it is right or truthful or whatever, all you care about is your country winning. Fight the battle of the narrative. And if you are someone who's looking for truth, your allegiance is to no one but to truth, but to clarity. You don't have to fight any narratives, but you need to learn how to look through them. So I have given instructions to both of you, both of the two different kinds of people who exist. The choice is yours, what you want to do. But whatever you want to do, firstly you'll have to be really honest with yourself. And once you figure out what your desired outcome is, go ahead and do that. No judgments here, only instructions.
In a world where truth is optional and narrative is everything, today we stripped geopolitics down to its core. This wasn't about heroes and villains. It was about how reality bends to the loudest voice, not the most honest one. Whether you're fighting for your country's honor or clarity itself, remember, you're not in a war of facts. You're in a war of perception. If this made you think, even for a second, subscribe. We don't do surface level here. And remember, patterns are everywhere.